Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is BlueChipSim, coming back after quite a long break with a brand new video. We are, as you can tell, on the ground in a British Airways A320. This is prepared version 4. I know it's been out for a while and I've been meaning to make a video for it, but it is the FSLabs A320. So we are British Airways. Of course, we are at London Heathrow, and we're going to make a quick hop to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. Soon after this video, I will probably do the return flight as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the cockpit and go ahead and start setting up. So now that we are back in the sim, so right now I do have it set to load to, let's go to panel states here. My default state is on GPU, so we are on the ground power unit right now. So we've got a little bit more work to do than we normally would. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the ADDONS, and then next thing is go ahead and make sure that all of the lights, lights, no white, I mean that's kind of how I try and remember it. I just extinguish all of the white lights. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in here and we're going to go to the init. We do not have a company route, or we're not using the PFPX print feature that they have. We are going to put the route in ourselves today because it is quite a short route. And it won't take long at all. So we're doing Speedbird 430 today. We're going to use a cost index of 0, and our cruising altitude today is going to be flight level 230, and we're just going to use the standard ICAO temperature of -31. Now that we get that, we're going to come over here. Actually, before we do any of that, we need to come over here to our fuel and put in our block fuel for the trip. So block fuel today is going to be 5,119 kilograms. We are bringing a little bit extra fuel because I've noticed that with PFPX, a lot of the times it really doesn't give me a lot of contingency fuel, which it should, but it doesn't. So our payload today, we're going to go ahead and use the 0 fuel weight, and that's going to be 60.9 kilograms. You go ahead and throw that in there. And I am using GSX right now to board, so this should go up to 60.9. Hopefully. We'll come back and check it later just to make sure. So we're going to come back over here to the init and got 60.9, and then using a spreadsheet off of the FSLabs forum, got our center of gravity at 28.3. Our block fuel is going to be 5.1 thousand kilograms, and we've got our init fuel prediction setup. We can come back over here, and now we're going to go to our flight plan. So this is something that's a little bit different than a Boeing aircraft. So when you want to put in your departure, your SID, you're going to go click right here on EGLL, the airport, and then do departure. So today we are going to be taking off out of 27 right. We're going to be using the Brookmans Park 7 Foxtrot SID, and going to go ahead and insert that. No transitions show up, so we're good there. And then we can scroll down here, double check it with our flight plan, and it takes us to Brookmans Park. So next up, we're going to be clicking on Brookmans Park and then Airways. So this is where we actually start putting in our route manually. So next up, after Brookmans Park, according to our route, is going to be Quebec 295. That's our airway. And then we're taking that airway to the CLN waypoint, and then we're going to do upper Lima 620. That's our next airway, and we're going to be going to Redfa, which completes our route. So then it gives us all the waypoints along the airway to CLN, and then to Redfa, and then Redfa is actually the beginning of the star into EHAM, or Amsterdam Schiphol. So we're going to go ahead and plan that since it is such a short flight. So we click on EHAM, go to arrival here, and then we are going to be using runway. Let me double check that runway. I changed it from what my flight plan said earlier because I didn't like the runway that we were using, because it was, I think we were using runway 24 earlier, and that's not the runway that we're going to be using. We're going to be using runway 27. So ILS 27, and then using the Redfa, oh, there it went, Redfa 1 Alpha, a star, and then there's not going to be any waypoints on the way in. So basically we're going to be going direct from the end of the star, which is Schiphol, and then let's see, Schiphol to actually I believe we cross over the top of the airport and then circle back around to Tidvo. Yes. Now that I remember, I've done this approach before, and I do believe that you actually circle, or you cross over the top of the airport and then circle back around onto the ILS. So it's going to be quite fun. So we bring our flight plan back up to the top, and let's go check our payload one more time. So our payload did not go up to where it needs to be. So our zero fuel weight needs to be 60.9. There we go. Alright, now we got our zero fuel where it's supposed to be. Let's double check on GSX. Baggage loading is in process. Passengers are done. So we can go ahead and close that left forward door and come back out here and check on the progress of bags. So it looks like there's 2 more totes on each entryway. So while we're here, we can go ahead and set up the rest of the way. So I've got Active Sky loaded right here for EGLL. So we've got pressure of 1021, surface winds of 210 at 6 knots. So we can go ahead and put in 1021 for the QNH. Put that in on both sides, and we're also going to clear ourselves up to our cruising altitude of flight level 230, but we do need to remember that for a lot of our SID, we are actually restricted at flight level 60. It's 6,000 feet. Until we get to Brookmans Park, we are restricted to 6,000 feet. So actually, let's go ahead and go into our route and double check that that restriction is in here. So yes, flight level 60 has us restricted all the way there until Brookmans Park, and then we start making our climb up after that. So since the computer knows what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and put in our cruising altitude of 230. Put one of these on nav, one of these on arc, and take both of them out to 1 to 20, 1 to 40. Go ahead and flip on the flight directors as well. And then we're going to go ahead and start up the APU. So starting up the APU here is pretty simple. We click this master switch, and then we are going to look down here on the APU page until it says flap open right here. Once it says flap open, the APU is ready to be started, and then we can hit the start switch. And there, see, it says flap open. We're going to come back up and hit the start switch, which is just below it. Since we're turning on the APU, we're also going to go ahead and flip on this beacon. And now we can go back to the APU page and watch it spool up. While that starts up, we can go outside, listen to it start up, and also watch GSX finish up. And if you'll just ignore the sound of my iPad getting an email, I was not expecting that. Should have been on mute, but that's alright. Oh, the sound of the APU. Come back here. Ear warning, it might get a little loud back here. Oh, you can see the gas exhausting out of the back. It is gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, look at that right there. The gas coming out of the back. Or the air escaping. Alright, so APU is available. Before we get too far, we're going to go ahead and close our cargo doors and get this on external controls, because that's going to be the next thing we do. So we're going to go ahead and flip on the APU gen. Actually, APU gen's auto on. Come back down here, and we're going to disconnect the GPU. Come around here, flip on the parking brake, and then we can disconnect the ground chocks, and then we're good here. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the progress page. Currently in our pre-flight. I'm going to go ahead and flip on the APU bleed. We'll need that to turn on the engines, and we're going to turn the packs off, because we are going to do a packs off takeoff as well. So I believe now it is time to depart. So we're going to go ahead and pull up GSX and get on our way out of here. So we are going to be going nose to the right, because we are taking off on... Yes, sure. Actually, I never really fly in areas that ask me if I want the de-icing treatment, so we should go ahead and do that, shouldn't we? We should de-ice our plane. I'll remove the jetway in the meantime while we're waiting for the de-icing truck. And while we are waiting for the de-icing truck, get us a little bit better view so we can watch them de-ice our plane. And then we're going to talk about our taxi. So we're going to push back, nose to the right, so we're going to end up going this way. We're going to come this way, we're going to taxi all the way to the Alpha Taxiway, and then take the Alpha Taxiway all the way down to the threshold of runway 27 right. So the de-icing truck is on its way. I'm thinking that's it right there. Oh, there it is. Got the nice British Airways logo on the side and the arm that lifts the guy way up. Oh, we got two of them. Cool. I've actually never used the GSX de-icing function before, because I always normally fly in America when I'm in the winter, and it's usually not cold, but right now it is 6 degrees Celsius in the sim, so I guess de-icing truck is necessary today. So here they come. Alright. Gonna go ahead and do a quick check of the screen. So we're gonna go ahead and put auto brakes at max. That must be something that you do after the engines are on. Well, in the meantime, there's nothing really to do until we are done de-icing. So we're just going to sit back and watch the de-icing trucks at work. Fluid type 1. I'm not really sure what each one is. I'm just gonna click the first one because it's not that cold. 6 degrees Celsius, 43 degrees Fahrenheit for all you other American people. Oh, look at that. That's a beauty right there. It looks gorgeous. You know, that's just, I've never used this before. That's pretty cool. Alright, now how long does it take? Gotta come back and give it one more once over so that we really make sure that there's no ice on the wings, because ice on the wings would not end well for us, would it? Oh look, there we are in there. I guess that's me. I guess I'm the old man. That's cool. Alright, are we done de-icing? It looks like we are. And looks like we should be coming up with the pushback menu soon. Hopefully. Alrighty, well, if we're coming up with the pushback menu soon, I'm going to go ahead and get back in the cockpit. There we go. And like we said before, we are going to go nose right. And watch for this guy and watch him wait for him to walk down there and then walk back out so we know when to take the parking brake off. I do have the GSX messages and sounds turned off. Go ahead and flip on the, or arm the speed brakes there. I do have the GSX messages and sounds turned off just for my own personal preference. I prefer to run with them off. And there we go. Looks like we can go ahead and release the parking brake. And then once we start moving back, we can start up our engines, starting with number 2. Oh. Maybe he wasn't done. Or maybe it didn't realize that I released the parking brake. I've noticed that sometimes it does that. There we go, now we're moving. Alright, so you can go ahead and flip the ignition switch to on. Looks like we're arming slides, and flip engine 2 on right there. Wait as we watch engine 2 start up there. We're actually going to go to the outside view and listen to it start up right over here as we push back. Ah, yes, nothing better than an early morning departure out of London Heathrow. Alright, get back into the cockpit and we can probably go ahead and start up number 1 as well. Alright, go ahead and get engine number 1 started, and soon it will be time to put the parking brake back on. Once they stop me, we're going to stop soon. Come on. There we go, we're stopped. Go ahead and set the parking brake. So this guy can slowly mosey on in. But as he is doing that, we'll go ahead and do some of our stuff. Go put our auto brakes on max. Double check our overhead panel. We're gonna, like I said before, we are going to leave those packs off because we're gonna do a packs off departure, get a little bit more power. And one thing that I realized I never did, I didn't actually do the takeoff reference page. So let me go ahead and pull up my calculations for my spreadsheet real quick. So 6,000 is the correct altitude. We're doing a 63-degree assumed temperature takeoff. We are also doing flaps 3. Our V1 is 139. V rotate is also 139. And V2 is 142. So we are, by using flaps 3, we are pretty, we have some pretty low V speeds, but that's alright. We're all set up there. So now that the engines are all good, we're going to go ahead and set ourselves to flap 3 before our taxi. We'll check that our auto brakes are on max. And gonna also go ahead and turn on the TCAS. Auto on and TARA. And also predictive wind shear. I always forget that one. That's something I always forget down there. And I believe we are ready to go. GSX is walking away. Gonna go ahead and click the pedal disconnect down here. There is an option that it took me a while to figure out. There's an option in the menu for where the button is sticky. Normally you have to press and hold it the entire time for the pedal to be disconnected, but I do have it on the sticky option. So we go ahead and release the parking brakes, and you'll notice we're moving without me even putting any throttle in. Well, you can't see that I haven't put in throttle, but I haven't. That's one of the joys of the IAE engines. So I'm going to give it a little bit of extra thrust so that we can get moving a little bit faster. But we're also going to do a moving flight controls check, because I want to get out on the road. Alright, so we're going to go full left. Alright, we're good. Full left. Full right. Alright, full back. And full forward. Right rudder. Left rudder. Alright. And put the pedal disconnect back on so we can steer. And our flight controls check is complete. Everything is good. Only thing left is taxi light, runway turnoffs, and seatbelt signs. Also going to go ahead and put on the wing lights just because it is a little bit early morning still. Give us a little bit more illumination on that taxiway. So we are coming up here on taxiway Alpha, and this is runway 09 left or 27 right. So we're going to taxi all the way down and to the other end of the runway and take off that direction. So I actually haven't put any throttle into this plane in a while. One thing about the IAE engines is that you do have to ride the brakes or else you get going a little bit too fast. So, while we're taxiing, I'll just talk a little bit about my channel and what I plan on doing with it. So, I've been really busy lately in my real life, so I'm going to be moving for the time being just to try and release one video per week. I'm going to try and have that video come out on Tuesday every week. Right now I'm recording this on a Monday night. to release on a Tuesday night, so it's quite the time crunch, but in the future I'll record these videos on the weekend so that I have a little bit more time to edit and actually produce the video. So I'm going to start doing a video once a week. It's not always going to be the same. It's not always going to be just a straight flight. Sometimes I might do a just departure flight, and I'll do more complicated and in-depth stuff in the video. So go more into the systems and talk more about it instead of just breeze through it. So real quick, here's an example of the fact that I'm going to step on the brakes a little bit, slow us down. I still haven't put any throttle in. I'm just kind of letting it go and steering. So for the time being, I'm going to plan on one video a week. If I put out a few extra, then yay me. Before I was trying to get myself to do a lot of videos every week with not a lot of spare time to produce them in. But now I feel like if I can just do one a week, I can get into the swing of things, and if I feel like I have more time, I can always maybe throw a second one in there at the end of the week. So I'm definitely going to try and get one out every Tuesday. But if there's a bonus video on a Saturday or a Friday, don't be surprised. Sometimes I just have way too much fun making videos that I just want to do more. So we have got a little bit of ways to go still. I believe that was a 8E Alpha 8 Echo, maybe. Which one is this? This one is link 12. Alright, so we're a little bit over halfway down the runway. Then we can turn around and go straight out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the takeoff configuration test. Let that run. I did hit the test button, right? Okay, cool. Takeoff configuration normal. Let's slow down a little bit. We are getting up to 30 knots ground speed, and still I haven't put in any throttle since the initial bit at the gate when we were first leaving the stand. Alright, let's see. That was Alpha 8. Keep going down this way. It got quite a long runway here. It's a 3,900 meter runway, 12,802 feet for those on that system, which, well, includes me, but being in the flight sim community for so long, meters, feet, I go by meters a lot when I'm talking about runways. So, alright, so that was Alpha 5. So next up we have Alpha 4, and then Alpha 3. So we are going all the way to the end of the runway, even though we will not need anywhere near the full length of the runway to get this thing off the ground. So we're going to start to slow down a bit, because we are going to be making a couple pretty sharp turns, especially lining up on the runway. Alright, here we are, Alpha 3. Here's the hold short line, but we are offline with no traffic, so we're just going to go ahead and put ourselves out there on the runway. While we're lining up, I'm going to go ahead and put our taxi lights on and our strobe as well. Alright, we have identified runway 27 right. Put in a little bit of brake to help with the turn. Alright, and successfully lined up. We're going to go ahead and put it into man throttle, SRS, Here we go. Hit that chrono button. And we are off. I'm going to pitch the nose down with the throttle until we hit about 80 knots. Knots. There's 100 knots. One thing that I didn't call out was I did disconnect the pedal. There's V1 and rotate, and V2. All right, we are positive climb. We're gonna go gear up, and we did not use any of that runway. I understand that the landing gear is not down. I'm not trying to bring it down. Okay, well, I think we took off so fast that I didn't even know. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and bring up our next set of flaps, and we're also going to go ahead and hit on the autopilot just so we can enjoy the views around us. And we're going to go to lever climb. You get that we're over speed. We're going to be doing flaps up again, and flap 0 slats away. Please stop. Okay, we need to get our... We do not want the ICAM on the ND. There we go. That's what we want. And yes, we do need to turn the packs back on. Thank you for that. I also realized that we had the APU on the entire time we were flying, so go ahead and flip that off as well. Alright, so we are making our turn out of here, and we've got some pretty gorgeous views. In fact, I'm going to take a screenshot right there because that looks gorgeous on our climb out. Go look at an outside view as well. This plane is so loud that I apologize if your ears are hurting just a little bit after that abrupt change. One of my favorite things to do is to just take screenshots on the climb out from really any airport. And ever since getting this FSLabs A320, the screenshots that I'm able to capture are just that much greater, that much better. So we are at 6,000 feet, so we're going to go ahead and pull that back to standard pressure. So we do have a ways until we actually start climbing. Normally I would leave you at 10,000 feet when we are turning off the landing lights and all sorts of other gizmos and gadgets for the 10,000 feet, but we have quite a ways to fly at 6,000 feet, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here, let you enjoy a little bit of the cruise, and then I'll get back to you when we start to descend or plan our descent, and then we'll probably jump forward again closer to the final approach. So I'll see you guys then. Alright, we are back in the flight deck. We have 5 nautical miles until top of descent. So we're going to look, and looks like we capture the localizer, or the glide slope actually, at 2,000 feet. So we're going to go ahead and put our selector to 2,000 feet. And then in just a second, this is 3 nautical miles now. In just a second, it's going to pop up in white letters here and say decelerate now. So then we're going to click in on the altitude selector and basically push control of our altitude back to the aircraft. That is something that's different about the Airbus is, oh, see now it says decelerate, so we're going to push in, and then our plane's going to start descending on its own here. So if we come back down here, gives us predicted to 2,000 feet, 100 nautical miles, and 1014 UTC. Here on the progress page, we are now showing descent and descent phase. Our vertical deviation, we are actually above our vertical path by 120 feet, which isn't bad. As you can see, it's going down. And right now we are past Redfa. We are, let's see, what does that say down there? Just at 25 minutes from the runway, so you can see how short this flight is. We took off 25 minutes ago, and now we are already in our descent. So we are inbound the Sulut waypoint. We're 23 nautical miles away, and about 4 minutes. When we get closer to the arrival, or the final approach, I'll get back with you, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and plan the approach, and then I'll let you go until it's actually time to do the approach. So the arrival QNH is going to be 1019, temperature of 7 degrees Celsius, with winds of 250 at 11 knots. Transition level of 3000 is correct, and we're going to do a config 3 landing, so our V approach is going to be 144, and finally our decision height is going to be 188 feet. The landing altitude at EHAM is actually below sea level. I believe it's -17, no, it's -11 feet. So yeah, we've got our approach configured, and I will leave you there, and we'll see you when we get closer to the airport and closer to our final approach. Alright, welcome back. As you can see, we are overflying the airport right now. This is actually the runway that we will be landing on, so we're going to go out this way, circle back around, and land. So since we are getting close to our final approach, we're going to come to our performance, and we're going to go ahead and activate our approach phase. So double click that to confirm approach phase. And now The auto throttle is going to be flying at our minimum clean speed, which is going to be 208 knots. But it might take a little bit to decelerate to there as we continue to descend down to 2,000 feet, which is our intercept for the ILS. So we are going to go check outside, look at the front of the plane, look at the wonderful views. There, right there is our runway that we are going to come in on. You'll notice that I do have the speed brakes deployed. I am watching this right here, this vertical deviation. So the aircraft controls the pitch based on the speed that we need to be. So by deploying the speed brakes, allows us to slow down a little more, and then but also pitch the nose down so we can get this vertical deviation down. We want it to be, we want it to be, if anywhere, close to 100 feet or below. I'm hoping that we'll actually get down there to what we need to be. It is sinking pretty rapidly, but we'll see what we get to. So right here we are at our we're at our transition altitude, so we're going to go ahead and switch these over to 1019. Then we can continue on down. I think the autopilot has switched off. Let me figure out why. 2500. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the localizer button. And for now, I am going to hand fly this. Go ahead and remove the speed brakes and turn the autopilot back on. So we are at 2,000. We have armed the localizer. So 2,000 is about where the autopilot needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and go flaps 1. And turn the autopilot back on. And it'll get us back on course real quick. I have been flying this for a little bit, and I have not had this issue with the aircraft that the autopilot keeps turning off. So we're going to go ahead and, as we're in this turn, put the landing gear down. And SLAT's maneuvering speed, so we're going to go ahead and go to flaps setting 2 now. And we are going to be doing a config 3, so we aren't going to have a any more, or we're going to have one more setting of flaps after that. Landing lights on, runway turnoffs on, seatbelt signs are on, and make sure that strobes are on and not just auto. So once we get to TIDVO, which is just right up here, we should capture the glide slope. Oh, flaps the other way. We're going to go ahead and put out flaps 3. We're going to get configured nice and early. Set our auto brake to medium, and we're good. And fuel on board, 2720. Let me check this performance. Should be, we are config 3. It is asking for full flaps on the landing checklist, but we are going to leave it at flaps 3 because that is what we're going, or that is what we selected on the approach phase. And we are just about 0.4 nautical miles away from Tidvo, and then the glide slope should capture right about here. Just waiting for it to capture. Actually, I'm looking at that diamond, and we are actually underneath the glide slope, so that's just fine. It'll capture once we get lined up with it. Actually, now that I'm looking at my charts, it does. Tidvo is actually not where the ILS starts. It's another, looks like about 0.3 to 0.6 nautical miles away. This BVB waypoint is down, that's showing down here on the ILS, and there we go. We've got our glide slope in, and in a future video I will demonstrate a auto land, but for this one we are just going to do a manual land. We're going to take control from the autopilot a few thousand feet out and take care of it ourselves. For now, I'm going to do the GoPro dash cam and give you some good views as we make our final approach into Amsterdam Schiphol. Check that everything's good. Our vertical deviation is plus 60 feet, so we're looking good there. The approach is 142, and we are right at that, if not just a little hair above, which is always good. I'd rather be a little hair above than a little hair below. Our time in the air right now is about 46.5 minutes, and with that I am going to go ahead and take control from the airplane. It's a little bit bumpy, but go ahead and take control. Silence that, hit it twice. And it's now my airplane. Now we're getting a little bit above glide. We're gonna watch those pappies down there. Looks like the throttle levers got bumped a little bit. It's all right. Go ahead and silence that. Click that one more time.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low.
40, 30, 20, retard. 10, 5.
Reversers are green, and we are rolling out. Go ahead and disengage the reversers, disengage the auto brake, and look at that. We had a nice clean rollout, and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the pedals and get on my steering mode. see, what exit did we end up taking? We are on the November 4 exit. Ooh, just about halfway down the runway. Go ahead and clean everything up. Open up the APU flap a little bit. Alright, so November 4 is actually kind of perfect. We're going to go this way a little bit. Oh, hello. The calibration on my pedals is a tiny bit off. Ha ha ha. So this is the Alpha 19 taxi connection. Alright, looks like the flap is open, so we're going to go ahead and start up the APU. Turn off landing lights, put the lights to taxi, strobes to auto. And this right here on our left is the G pier. We're actually going to turn to the left, not going to the G pier. Forgot this thing does not need any power to taxi. Give it a little bit of power to get going. So yeah, this right here is the G pier. We're going to come around here to the F pier. And we're going to park right on the end here at what I believe is Foxtrot 7. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick flight as I turn on the brake fan here. Hope you enjoyed this quick flight from London Heathrow to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. I definitely enjoyed the flight myself. See, where's the on-ramp here? We're just going to make our own and get on here. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this flight. I know I did. I had a lot of fun with it. Looks like it's a dual jetway. See, I had a lot of fun with this flight. Looks like my pedals are acting up again. They get this problem where the the brake pedals or the flaps are acting, or the steering is acting like a brake. So I can put it to almost toga and barely move. This is something that I need to fix with the calibration of my pedals, but if you'll notice, you can hear the engines. I'm almost togaing onto this ramp. Alright, here we go. I like how quickly it stops. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and engage the parking brakes. And our APU is on and available. Oh, lots of view changing there. So we're going to go ahead and turn off the engines there. And once those spool down, go ahead and connect the jetway and the ground control. So GPU and ground shocks. Release the parking brake and open up our doors. Let's request deboarding from GSX. We can use KLM to do our deboarding, I guess. Alright, we are down safely here on the ground with lights on. Uh-oh. Don't tell anyone. Alright, we are down safely here on the ground at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. I hope you guys enjoyed this flight. I am excited to be back making content. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. If we can get 10 likes on this video, that would be outstanding. And if we can get even more subscribers, that would be even better. So once again, thank you for watching, and look forward to my video next week. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye now.